Good morning, Pocomoke Middle School 8th grade students. Good afternoon. Whenever you're watching this, I'm glad you're watching this. We are going to do a brief recap from yesterday, and we're also going to address some issues that occurred. Those of you who were in the Zoom meeting, it went fine. We're going to talk about some Zoom expectations. So for those of you who weren't able to attend yesterday and today, at least you have those. So one thing I want you to think about is just one thing that you remember from yesterday. It could be anything. So I'm going to give you some wait time to think about it. For me, I know one thing from yesterday that I learned was that one of our students really liked Motown music and old school music, specifically 80s and 90s, even though I don't really think that that's necessarily old, since that was the music I was listening to when I was growing up. But just think about one of those things you remember from yesterday, even if you just watched the video. But we're going to talk about more ELA guided stuff today. So an essential question is something that we're going to bring up in Unit 1, and it's one of those open-ended questions that pushes your thinking. You guys have used them in 7th grade and 6th grade, 5th grade, 4th grade, so on and so forth throughout your entire schooling, and we're going to talk more about those when we dive into the unit. But today specifically, we're going to look at our learning targets, which is our goal for learning, whatever the skill is, and then our success criteria, which is how we can evaluate if we've actually hit that learning target. Because for those of you who know, a target is something that you aim at. So in order to hit that target, we have to figure out how that's done, okay? So today, we are going to, our skill, what we're trying to hit is discussing the expectations and routines in virtual ELA and analyzing why those routines and expectations are important. And if we're thinking about how we know we're successful, that success criteria, at the end of this, you should be able to explain how the different features in Zoom support our class expectations, which we'll talk about, and you'll also be able to identify the various features of Schoology in addition to their functions. So we're going to do a walkthrough of Schoology just to refresh your memory. So what is available on Zoom? If you watched this video yesterday, you weren't actually in the Zoom. If you're watching this today and you were in the Zoom, then you might be familiar with some of these features. So first off is the mute button. The mute button is exactly as it sounds. It mutes the participants so that whoever has the floor can actually talk and we're not, inundated with background. I know when I was in meetings in the summer using Zoom all the time, my dog would bark at the mailman every time they came up with packages, and it was really it had potential to be very disruptive, but thankfully I was on mute so nobody heard her vicious barking. You also have the opportunity to stop your video. I know sometimes I look a hot mess and I don't want people to see me, and it doesn't mean that I'm not still there, I'm not still participating, but I will stop that video just so, I can sit comfortably and I don't feel like I have people staring at me. It is 100% okay for you to stop your video, but what I ask is honesty policy, that you're listening, because you will be called on as long as your name is present in that Zoom. And even if your video is off, I do expect that you will unmute yourself, or I can unmute you and you will answer. So we're not going to stop our video to sit back and chill on our phones, because we wouldn't do that in class. And even though you are at home or, at your friend's house, the expectations are still the same. We are still technically in class. The chat box is a great feature. Many times, as you could see, I will ask you to drop something in the chat box, and that's where you can type it instead of saying it in front of your peers. You can ask me a question directly if you don't want everybody else to hear it. It will only go to me if it's a private message, which is also very nice, especially if you feel like you're lost or you need me to slow down. And then the reactions are really cool. Those are those non-verbal ways of letting me know that you're paying attention. You have a clap reaction, and you also have a thumbs up. So I might ask you to tap those reactions, and whenever I do, the button looks just like this, okay? So if you need to rewind and re-listen to those, because I do talk very quickly, please do so, but I am going to go ahead and move on. So we do have some virtual meeting expectations. They are the same across the team. Ms. Russo has the same ones. Ms. Blackburn has the same ones. And your other teachers will have the same ones as well. These meeting expectations are just general discussion expectations. You've probably seen some of these kind of things before. So first and foremost, when you're in a meeting, it's just like you're in class. You want to eliminate distractions. My biggest distraction is this right here. So whenever I'm in a meeting, I try to put it as far away from me as I can. Yesterday, those of you who were in the Zoom knew that I was messaging people because they were having trouble getting on, and you could see how distracted I was. So it's really important to put your phone away if that's one of your main distractors. Video games, you should not be sitting in front of Zoom while playing a video game. There's no way you can pay attention. There's no such thing as multitasking. Your brain can't physically do two tasks with 100% effort at the same time. It's been proven. So you just want to eliminate those distractions so that you can pay attention, because it's hard when you're at home. When you're not speaking, obviously you are on mute. When you come into the Zoom, you will be on mute anyway. If you're not speaking, please keep it on mute so that there's no background noise and people can really focus. Also, utilize those reactions when you want to interact with classmates instead of interrupting them. We are going to go into some signals later on in the week and early next week that will help you be able to react with your peers a little bit more easily instead of blurting things out. With that, you want to make sure that you're listening and you're asking questions if you need to. Remember, you can use that chat box, and you can also, raise your hand. Unfortunately, when I am sharing the screen, sometimes it's hard for me to see all of you because my screen, whatever I'm sharing, takes up the majority of it, but I will try my hardest to get to you. So in our Zoom meeting, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some classroom agreements and some that link up with our expectations, and they'll be pretty much like our rules, but I like the word agreement better. It has a better connotation. So I will make sure to post those for you guys when we come up with them. So we have been able to explain the different features of Zoom, okay? And now we're going to kind of look into more of how they support those class of expectations. But before we do that, I do want to log into Schoology. So at this time, if you could log into Schoology for me, it's worcesterk12.schoology.com. Do not use the app. The app does not have all of the features that the web browser does. And if you use the app, you're going to have a lot of troubleshooting issues. So again, please log into Schoology.com. That is worcesterk12.schoology.com. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and log in on my browser. So it's worcesterk12.schoology.com. And it should pop right up. Now mine might look a little bit different than yours, and that is okay. But I'm going to go to 1.2. If you're in 5.6, it's the same exact thing. I want to point out to you some features that are really, really important. So when you log on to the browser, automatically you will see my welcome page, and it has a lot of important information. So it tells you, again, what time our Zoom is. Our Zoom will always be from 9:40 to 11 this week. And it also tells you where to find your assignments. Again, I've got my contact information. You have your schedule. And here is our daily Zoom link. Click it, and it'll take you right there, okay? And then the week's assignments will be right here, and then next week all of these assignments are actually going to move into this folder. So if you missed Friday, you'd go into what did I miss, and you'll see Friday's folder in there. Something else that's really important is the updates. Every morning or every afternoon I will post an update. It'll come through as a notification on your page. Today our update is the Zoom link, just because people had some problems trying to access it yesterday. And letting you know to use the web page instead of the app, because again, that's really important. So please don't ignore the updates. They will help answer a lot of your questions. Most of you already know about the message feature on Schoology, which is really great. It's a direct way to message me. It comes through on my phone, okay? So I can answer you that way as well. It's just a very quick way to get up with me. So let's go into today's assignments. When you log in, it's going to tell you exactly what to do, okay? So if you look, the first thing you had to do is participate in the lesson. If you're watching this, you're already doing that. We are going to actually resubmit our 8th grade headline from yesterday because there was a lot of technical difficulty. So what you'll do is you'll click on that. You are going to submit your individual slide. So what I've done is I've included the individual slide for you right here. It is a OneDrive assignment. So what you'll do is you'll click it. Yours is going to look a lot more different than mine, so I'm not going to click it. But you'll click this link and it'll take you directly to the assignment itself. Now, for those of you who are like, oh my gosh, I already did it, mine was fine, you approved it. If you just want to copy and paste, you can find your old slide right here on this link. It will take you to the old PowerPoint. You can copy it and then paste it right into your OneDrive assignment. We were having issues with people not being able to, me not being able to see their slides even though it was there. We also had some issues with people writing on other people's slides, which is completely inappropriate and unacceptable. So we just wanted to put it in your own little safe space, and what Ms. Russo and I will do is make a master PowerPoint when it is all said and done, okay? For those of you who get an error when you look at the OneDrive assignment, there is a video on how to troubleshoot those issues, and it says submitting a OneDrive assignment in Schoology from the student view. So that's right there. Once you've resubmitted your headlines, we've got a discussion post that talks about the Zoom expectations and the classroom agreements and how they're going to help us become successful. Your question is right up here. The expectations are right here for you. You are responsible for creating a discussion post. In that discussion post, you should have your answer. You should have support using evidence from this video, okay? You should have an explanation of how those Zoom features, any of the ones that we went over, connect to the expectations. For example, how could the mute button really help us with any of these 5 expectations? And then, of course, a concluding statement, because you don't just want to end it and leave me guessing. After your initial post, you are going to be expected to respond to your classmate. And in your response, you should address your classmate by their name. You should have at least one complete sentence responding to their ideas. You know, I agree with you, I disagree, or it's a wonderful that you brought that up. And then you want to extend or piggyback off of their ideas. So I actually included a sample initial post for you so that you can see, you know, the length, the structure of how this should be, and then a sample response. Notice how I used my classmate's name, I put a comma, I put my agree, disagree statement, and then I actually extended it, okay? And there's also a rubric down here for you to use. This is graded, okay? I know I went through that quickly, but remember you do have the pause and rewind feature on this video that will help you. Please make sure that you resubmit your slide because that is a grade and this is as well. And one last thing, I know some of you did this, but I only have 8 responses out of 27. I do need that parent communication form. I absolutely need that, okay? So if you have any questions, shoot me a message on Schoology, shoot me a message on Remind. Remember, I'm here for you. I'm here to help. See ya.